Brexit. Of itself, of course, there's nothing controversial about the type of USB charger that one might use. But there is something very controversial in Northern Ireland, quite appropriate, about the source of this legislation. Here we are in the Parliament of the United Kingdom. And all this Parliament can do is to nod through someone else's laws. The decision that in Northern Ireland you must have the EU-style USB charger flows from a decision by parliamentarians in a foreign parliament. It was the parliamentarians of 27 other countries which decided that this would be the common charger which would be used. And of course it was the protocol, now called the Windsor Framework, which didn't change one word of the protocol, which decreed that Northern Ireland, in 300 areas of law, of which this is one, would not be subject to the laws made in this place or in its devolved assembly. Certainly.
Would he just remind us how Northern Ireland voted in the Brexit referendum?
Sorry?
Would he remind us how Northern Ireland voted in the Brexit referendum?
The Brexit referendum was a national vote, and it asked a simple question: do you want the United Kingdom to leave the EU? It didn't ask the question, do you want GB to leave and leave Northern Ireland behind? That's what we got. And we got that in that this United Kingdom surrendered control over those 300 areas of law to that foreign parliament. Now, the honourable member may be comfortable with the fact that my constituents are disenfranchised in the making of the laws that govern them. I wonder would he be so comfortable with the fact if it was his constituents who were disenfranchised in making the laws in 300 areas that govern them. I suspect not. And all I ask for my constituents is that they have the same rights, the same enfranchising rights, as everyone else's constituents in Great Britain. Is that too much to ask? And yet in the making of this regulation, this Parliament is answering the question, that is too much to ask. Because Northern Ireland, we are told, must be subject to foreign colonial rule. That's what it is. When you say to an area, you will be governed by laws not that you make or that your parliament makes, but that a foreign parliament makes, that's the very essence of colonial rule. And that is what we are subjected to. And the degree to which the government, and of course it was under the previous government, the degree to which the government has abandoned sovereignty over Northern Ireland is illustrated by the very explanatory document that accompanies these regulations. It says there will be limited impact, but it didn't conduct an impact assessment. Why did it not conduct an impact assessment? Well, paragraph 9.1 of the explanatory document tells us. It tells us that a full impact assessment has not been prepared because measures resulting from the European Union Withdrawal Act 2018 are out of scope of assessment. Out of scope of assessment. Laws that will affect my constituents are out of scope of assessment by this Parliament and this government, because the right to make those laws was given away to the European Parliament. So it's not about whether in itself the type of USB is controversial or not. It is the constitutional point that Northern Ireland has been disenfranchised, robbed of the right to have its laws made in its own country, and robbed of the right now to even have an impact assessment, because in those 300 areas of law, they're beyond the scope of assessment. That's why, for this proposal, there only is an EU impact assessment, no UK impact assessment. That, in a way, says it all. Sure.
I'm grateful to him giving way. He's making a powerful and coherent argument. I think what he's saying is this may or may not be a good law, but he would have liked it to have been assessed, its impact assessed properly, and the people of Northern Ireland had a say on it, the say he has in this chamber today. Can I ask whether he thinks overall it is a good law, albeit one that constitutionally he would have preferred was passed a different way?
Well, I said it's not of itself. What type of USB you use isn't particularly controversial, but how you make it, how you impose it, it couldn't be more controversial, because you impose it by the avenue of disenfranchising the people of Northern Ireland and saying, you will have no say over whether it's a good law or a bad law. It's someone else's law, and it will be imposed upon you. And that is the mischief that I'm addressing here today. And in that mischief lies the reason why this Parliament should not be a nodding dog to someone else's regulations. Now, the Minister tells us the government is probably going to bring the same requirements into GB. Well and good, but it should have been the government, not a foreign jurisdiction, that was bringing the prescription for the type of USBs into the whole of the United Kingdom, not surrender control over that to a foreign parliament.